So I've played a couple of hands, nothing really worth talking about, but getting dealt ace-king suited in the hijack could change things around for me. It's folded and I make the tricky decision to open the pot. I only get some interest from the small blind though who makes the call. Now the flop comes out and it's completely the wrong end of the deck for me, 6-4-2 with 2 diamonds. I'm never sure if I should c-bet on flops like this, but this time I don't have to worry because the small blind throws out a bet and it's a big one too, 2/3 pot. I wasn't really expecting that. Now this sort of flop wouldn't normally be one that hits the small blind's range, I don't think. Big blinds, yeah, small blind, not so much. With that in my head and the fact that I've got 2 overs, I make the call. The turn is dealt and it's another 2 pairing the board. Now based on my previous logic, I'm not worried about him having a 2, so even when he bets again, this time for half pot, I think my overs still warrant it being a call on my part. The river comes out and it could well save me here. It's an ace, but it's also a diamond completing the flush draw. When he checks through, I rule out him having a flush because I'm pretty sure he would have fired a 3rd barrel for value. So what could he have? So thinking back over the action, he's very likely to have a middling pair, 7s to 10s maybe. Now he's scared that I've got a flush. I really want to try and get some value, but at the last minute something makes me change my mind. With top pair, I've got a good chance of winning a decent-ish sized pot without having to risk any more chips. So I just check it back. The cards are flipped, I'm convinced I'm going to win the pot, but I'm stunned when he turns over ace-6 for 2 pairs. I didn't see that one coming, and based on my logic and the river card, I actually got away a lot cheaper than maybe I could have done. Just 2 hands later, I'm dealt another premium hand, pocket queens in early position. Again I open the pot and this time get called in the hijack. It folds around to the big blind who pretty quickly decides that there's not enough in the middle and he 3-bets to 11 bigs. Now I think I've got a couple of options here and folding isn't one of them. I don't think the hijack player is much of a risk after they just called my initial raise, so I reckon I can play it a little conservatively, make the call, then I expect him to fold and go heads up to the flop and take it from there. Hopefully we just don't see an ace or a king. Surprise surprise, I read the situation completely wrong. The hijack calls 2, so we go 3 ways to the flop, which comes out king king 2. The big blind keeps up the betting but puts in a tiny bet of 1/5 pot. Now a small bet feels pretty scary, but it's way too small for me to fold, so I make the call and the hijack does get out of the way. Now the turn is a brick and this time the big blind checks it over to me. Alarm bells are ringing inside my tiny little mind, so I decide to check it back. The river's an offsuit 4 and this time the big blind bets and he bets big. I'm caught in 2 minds and I'm thinking back over the hand. What sort of hand is likely to raise from the big blind pre-flop? Ace king and pocket kings are unlikely with 2 kings already being out there. I obviously block ace queen pretty bad, so that just leaves aces. It all makes sense. The 3-bet pre, a small bet on a scary flop, and then checking the turn when he gets called. Then going for big value after not facing a bet on the turn. All adds up and I don't like it. I just can't get away from it though. I make the call and so I'm still kicking myself for not listening to the voices that were screaming out inside my head a couple of minutes ago. Then I get dealt 4-5 suited. Now I don't want to have a favourite hand, but I've won some big and unlikely pots with this hand, and because of that I've called it the monster killer and I find it pretty hard to lay down. So I'm on tilt, there's an early position raise and I'm in the small blind with the world famous monster killer. Of course I'm playing it. I make the call and we go heads up to the flop, 6-4-2 all hearts. Similar looking board to the one from the first hand today. The monster killer hasn't let me down, I have flopped a pair. I check it over to the raiser expecting them to c-bet. My plan is to check raise, but I change my mind when the size of their c-bet is bigger than I'm expecting. I'm not folding yet though, so I make the call. The turn is yet again a board pairing 2. So I've got the monster killer, just over a pot size bet left, middle pair and a gut shot. I'm still tilting pretty hard and I'm convinced this guy hasn't got any other board. So I do what all bad small stake players do and I shove all in with a marginal hand. Can't be in that bad a shape, can I? I get snap called and as I thought, I'm ahead. Can't help being pretty surprised that he called that quickly with just 2 overs and a flush draw though. No ace, no queen, no heart. The river's dealt and it's none of them, but it does pair the board again. Another 6. My heart sinks because I've just got counterfeit on the river He's now got 2 pairs, 6 and 2s with an ace kicker. Can't believe how badly I run sometimes. Wait, hang on. I've got 6s and 4s. That's better. I win. What a dickhead. You would have thought I've played enough poker by now to realise what hands beat what. Well, at least no one got to see just how dumb I can be. Until now, anyway. If you're enjoying the video and want to come on my journey with me to get to Las Vegas, then please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to see just how far I can take it. Thank you, your support really means a lot. Now, let's get back to the poker hands. An orbit later, I get dealt pocket 7s in the big blind. Hijack opens and I make the call. So we're heads up to the flop and it's 6-6-4 with 2 hearts. Not a bad flop for 7s and pretty good flop for the big blind. With a legitimate hand this time, I again decide to go for a check raise. I check to the initial bettor who doesn't disappoint and he makes his standard C bet. I raise him 4x and he doesn't take too long before making the call. Now the turn is the jack of spades, so there's now 2 flush draws out there. I want to keep telling my story that I hit that flop hard, so I carry on putting on the pressure. This time 11 bigs into a pot of 17. This time as well, no snap decision, so I take that as a good sign. They do make the call eventually though and we go to the river. It's another low card, 3 of diamonds. I think that's good for my range, terrible for his. There's only one option for me. I'm not giving up on this hand now. I shove everything into the middle and get a quick fold. Whew. Nice run out, nice pot to win. That's 2 levels later before we get involved again and I've got ace king. We're playing 7-handed and I raise from the low jack. Folds to the big blind who makes the call and we're off to a flop. Jack 10-3 rainbow and the big blind checks it to me. Feels like an easy C bet here with a gut shot on 2 overs. So that's exactly what I do. Now the turn is the 9 of clubs. The board's a lot more dangerous now with 3 to the straight out there and a flush draw too. Lots of hands ahead of me and when he decides to lead for a 3rd pot it doesn't feel great. Still got 2 overs though and a draw to the nuts, so I think it's still an easy call. The river's a confusing one. It's the ace of clubs. Yeah, it gives me top pair, but the backdoor flush gets there, also losing to a bucket load of possible 2 pairs and straights now. Even though the big blind checks it to me, having just 1 pair here feels too thin to go for value, so I make what is probably a nitty check back. The cards are flipped and it turns out the river was a great card for me though, because it means I beat his pocket 6s. Now it's not a big pot, but I'm going to take it. Half an hour goes past before I can get involved again. The hijack opens and I'm in the small blind with ace 9 of diamonds. Now, I'm not sure if I should be 3-betting this one, but in game I just go for a call. We're heads up to a flop of king 9-6 2 spades. I've hit, but it's only a little bit, so I check. The hijack puts in a C bet of half pot. Now while it's a bit bigger than I would have liked, I think I've still got to make the call with 2nd pair. The turn is the 4 of diamonds, which shouldn't help the hijack, but when I check to him he puts in a huge overbet that would put me all into call. I just can't do it with 2nd pair. So I fold, I'm down now to 16 big blinds. The very next hand I'm dealt ace king and when action falls to me I resist the temptation to just shove all in and I make a standard open instead. I really need to try and get some action with this hand. Now the small blind folds but the big blind who I cover has got something he wants to go in with and he shoves all in for 13 bigs. That is the majority of my stack but obviously I'm not folding this one. Let's run it. He shows king jack off. We both end up hitting top pair on the flop, but the run out's clean and I get the best part of a double up. It's another half hour before I get another hand though. We're right at the end of the late registration period and my card distribution has been absolutely shocking for the last hour. I keep ending up in these situations with no cards, no chips and basically no hope. I'm on the big blind and there's an under the gun open. It folds to me and I've got a raggy ace. Do I shove here or just call the 1 big blind and hope to see a decent flop? I go for the call option but I don't get the decent flop to go with it. King, queen, 8. I check it to the raiser, he bets. Now even though it's only 1 big blind I can't make the call, so I just chuck my cards away. Down to 7 bigs now. Gonna need an absolute miracle. Next hand I'm in the small blind. When it's folded to me I shove with queen 9 suited. The big blind folds, so at least I get one of my chips back from that last hand. Now I'm on the button. Action falls to me again and I shove with an ace. Everyone folds and I pick up a couple more vital chips. Card dead again with no chance to get anything going for another 20 minutes. I'm down to just 5 big blinds now and I'm on the big blind. I get dealt an ace, and before anyone else has done anything, I've already decided I'm not going to be folding this one. The hijack player open rips his 19 big blind stack into the middle, and action is then on me. I think a really strong hand here would have opened off that stack rather than shoving. So my ace might be good here, especially if I can hit another one. I stick to the plan and I make my call. I'm up against a small pair of sixes, so I'm not dead yet. The flop though, no good for me. The turn pairs my 3, so it does give me a couple more outs. Any ace or 3 on the river, maybe we can get something going. The Miracle River, a beautiful looking ace. 2 minutes later, and I've got King 10 of hearts in the cutoff. Do I open off 12 bigs or just shove? I don't know what to do. I end up going for the shove, really just hoping to pick up the blinds. Any call here, I'm probably going to be in a lot of trouble. The small blind snaps and he turns over ace queen. I do have him covered, but only just. If I can win this, I am right back in this thing though. The run out is no good for me. We both miss everything, but his nothing is better than my nothing. I do somehow manage to win with 9-5 when I hit a flush on the river and I'm back up to a whopping 1 big blind. I then shove all in under the gun with ace 3, get one caller who's got pocket 5s. I'm not dead, until the flop comes out that is. He hits a set, and that's the end of my dreams for another day. Well, that's that then. Felt like I was in a pretty good spot for a minute, but it's gone downhill very quickly. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Hopefully next time things will go a lot better.